Hello everyone, my name is Mario Martinez and this is Amateur EMS. So today we're going to be going over sinus arrest and sinus arrhythmias. This is going to be a guide to some of these abnormal rhythms. Make sure to check out the EKG playlist for more foundational videos. Just know that these are kind of rare rhythms. We don't normally see them too often, but they are good to know, especially if you're going to be taking your national. So for sinus arrest, what do you need to know? Well, the definition is that it's a temporary failure of the SA node to initiate a heartbeat. It can be caused by medication issues, ischemia, or increased vagal tone. Some clinical features: it'll have a period of no heartbeat that we're about to show off, or more so it's asystole, followed by a normal rhythm. So you're going to see it just basically stops for a little bit. We can see that we have a normal rhythm here. It's a little bit fast, but we can see our P wave here, our T wave, our QRS, our P wave, if we remember our rules of interpretation, is less than 0.2 seconds. It's upright. There's only one P wave for every beat. The QRS is less than 0.12 seconds. Each P wave matches with each QRS. You can see the P waves are here. And then as we go to the next T wave right here, we can see that there's a prolonged segment of asystole that we just learned about. And then we go back to a regular rhythm. So that's basically what sinus arrest is. Again, we can see right here we have a P wave. It's less than 0.2 seconds. We have a QRS, which is less than 0.12 seconds. We only have one P wave. It's upright. And P wave matches with the QRS complex over here. There's more so the R part. But anyway, you can see here that we have a drop segment where we have a systole right here. And it starts to go back, and then we have this weird other segments. So for sinus arrhythmia, what do we need to know, guys? Well, to define it, it's an irregular rhythm that's linked to breathing patterns. The key causes: it's in normal and healthy individuals, especially younger people. And some clinical features: well, we'll see that their heart rate increases with inspiration and decreases with expiration. So you're going to notice whenever we look at these rhythms that it's going to be kind of linked to breathing in and breathing out. And we'll see here we have these weird extra spaces where it looks like they're kind of breathing in here and then they're breathing out. So it's not connecting properly. So if we look at the P wave, we can see we have our QRS, our T wave. We have another P wave, QRS, T wave, and it appears to be a shortened length right here. But again, our P wave is upright. There's only one. Our QRS is less than 0.12 seconds. Our PR interval is less than 0.2 seconds, which is good. The P waves matches with the P waves. The QRSs matches up with the QRS. But occasionally, we'll have these short little breaks here. So you can see it's like a long pause. This is normal for them. Then they have this weird short intermittent part, a long part, a long part. And then I'm sure if we kept on looking at this rhythm again, we'd have another short part right here. Here's another example of it where we have just these weird shortened and then prolonged bits, where we have a prolonged bit right here, followed by a short section, and then another prolonged section. So if we look, we have our P wave here, our QRS, and our T wave. And there's no Q right here. Q is more indicative of a past ischemic event. So not having a Q wave is completely normal, but we have our R and S wave here. Our PR interval looks good. We only have one P wave, and it's going to be upright, and our QRS complex is going to be less than 0.12 seconds. Our P waves match with our P waves, QRSs match with our QRSs. We can see how they match up with each other, but occasionally we have these prolonged little bits, so it's very abnormal. It looks really similar to sinus arrest, so that's why I kind of wanted to show them together. These are just abnormal rhythms, but they're kind of benign. We're not really too worried about them whenever we see these type of beats. This can just be a sign of normal for a patient. We can see here the difference between a sinus arrest rhythm, where we have this long period of asystole, versus sinus arrhythmias. And so a sinus arrest is a pause in the rhythm where there's no heartbeat for a certain amount of time. And for a sinus arrhythmia, it's an irregular rhythm, but there is no significant pause. It's more so just a slight change in the speed of the rhythm. So the differences between sinus arrest and sinus arrhythmia. So some characteristics to look at. We can look at the heart rate. For sinus arrest, it can be slow or absent during the pause. But for sinus arrhythmia, it can be irregular, but within the normal range. The rhythm regularity for sinus arrest, it can be irregular due to missing beats. But for sinus arrhythmia, it's irregular, but follows a pattern related to respiration. For symptoms, it can cause syncope or dizziness. But for sinus arrhythmia, it's usually asymptomatic. And for treatment for sinus arrest, they may need pacing or treatment for underlying causes. And for a sinus arrhythmia patient, they don't need treatment usually. It's benign in healthy individuals. So what does this mean for EMS? For sinus arrest, you want to watch out for things like dizziness, syncope episodes, or hypotension. And it may require considerations such as atropine or pacing, depending on your patient's presentation. But we think of atropine for a slow rhythm. You want to check out your local protocols. You want to make sure that you're able to administer this whenever you see a sinus arrest rhythm. At the same time, if they are hemodynamically unstable or they have an altered mental status, if their vital signs are showing that they're not perfusing properly, we may need to move straight over to pacing. For sinus arrhythmia, it's usually benign. No intervention is needed unless other symptoms are present, right? So normally we wouldn't really have to worry about this, but if we see that they're not perfusing properly, we might need to contact medical control and say, hey, do you want me to consider any of these medications? Maybe something else is going on, right? It's not so much the electrical rhythm that's causing the issue, but there's an issue causing the electrical rhythm that can be checked off first. So we want to check our H's and T's. So thank you guys for watching. Understanding sinus arrhythmia and sinus arrest are crucial in EMS and ALS. Each type has unique ECG or EKG features and treatment needed. Be sure to review the playlist for more on EKG interpretations, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.